We're back live, and before that network break, and I was listening to network news, and man, people are just freaking out about measles. Are you serious? Measles? Get your kids nutrified. Okay? Not only that, but pine oil on the... Yeah. Jeez. So, William, if you're still listening, we had William on before the break. Now, I want you to go look up about 3 documentaries, okay? They're all on YouTube. And this is all regarding AIDS or HIV, okay? House of Numbers, that's one. House of Numbers. The Emperor's New Virus, that's the second one. The Emperor's New Virus. And number 3, AIDS Incorporated. It's a load of BS, and we're being taken for our ride, and we're paying the price for our ignorance. Okay? So, you know, Gary Null has done some good work on the subject as well. But what I was telling you is, if you have a friend or somebody in your family or your life that's been diagnosed with HIV, they've got a broken down immune system, or they're just being told that. Interestingly enough, go look at a pamphlet for the HIV test. The part where it says it cannot diagnose HIV and where it does not specifically look for a virus. The diagnosis is based on a series of questions. Okay? So, what I would do if I was you is I would take either Fucoid Z. Now, Fucoidin is a sea vegetable. All right? And there's, I can't remember, about 900 different published studies on the effects of Fucoidin in cancer and AIDS. Am I allowed to say that? Because, awareness is the cure, right? But, yeah, watch those documentaries. House of Numbers, The Emperor's New Virus, and AIDS Incorporated. So let's go back to this Fucoidin thing. Fucoid Z. Fucoid Z, Fucoid-Z. Or Z if you're in Canada. Or Z Radical. As much as you can afford with a Healthy Start Pack. Not only that, but you can do things to boost your immune system and your hormones by eating lots of eggs, lots of meat, lots of protein. All right? So, yeah. So, what does the doctor talk about while you're unconscious? So, when you're out for a day surgery or a colonoscopy, what's going on in the room? Well, Fox News is reporting that there's a big lawsuit over a guy that recorded what his doctors were talking about while he was getting a colonoscopy. You remember Dr. Glidden? He talks about, you think your doctor's like those guys on MASH? They're not. Man sues doctors for mocking him while he's unconscious. I'm going to read a little bit of this. So what do doctors chat about after you've gone under anesthesia? You may not want to know, according to a lawsuit picked up by Courthouse News Service. A colonoscopy patient in Virginia says he used his cell phone to record instructions given to him prior to his April 18, 2013 procedure and accidentally left it on and recording. So he's got a live audio recording of his colonoscopy, which, if you've been listening to this show, you'd avoid a doctor with a camera like the plague, but this guy went in. And it says here his name's DB. He doesn't want anybody knowing who he is, obviously. DB says doctors mocked him relentlessly. Here's a little sample. Dr. Tiffany Ingham is heard saying to the unconscious patient, "And really, after a few minutes of taking you in pre-op, I wanted to punch you in the face and man you up a little bit." Ingham also called him a big wimp and a retard, joking about firing a gun up his rectum. made fun of his alma mater, Mary Washington College, and threatened to falsely note on his chart that he had hemorrhoids. Sounds to me like Dr. Tiffany Ingham thinks she's a big swinging Johnson on the scene here, huh? The medical team joked about a rash on the patient's penis, speculating it might be syphilis. Then Ingham allegedly said, "It's probably tuberculosis in the penis, so you'll be all right." Doctors also strategized about how to avoid him after surgery. The Fairfax County patient is suing for $1.35 million in damages. So, I guess if you're that hard up for $1.35 million, you can go for a humiliating colonoscopy. Or you could get your health back and get back the health of your friends and neighbors. You want to know how to do that? Well, I'm here to help you. Get out a pen. 1-800-705-6892 gets you in touch with my team. That's my people. And I don't care where you are on the planet, we'll answer your questions and get you hooked up with the right products to help you get your health back. That's 1-800-705-6892. 1-800-705-6892. You could be like me. Or you could be like Danny and Jesse down in Ohio. You could be like Shane in Iowa, the firefighter, getting his health back. I tell you, I love this. I love doing this. I really do. I was in the hardware store the other morning, and I ran into somebody that I haven't seen forever. And they said, "What are you doing these days?" I said, "Well, I'm hosting a radio show on GCN for a doctor in Chicago." And they were like, "What?" So we got talking, and I said, "Yeah, I've seen people recover from type 2 diabetes. I've seen them recover from lupus." And right away, like I'm talking right away, the lady that was behind the counter, I was buying safety equipment, she says, "My son has lupus." And I said, "Well, do you want to learn how to help him overcome that?" And she was all over it. We had a lady here just the other night talking about recovering her health because doctors just ain't cutting it. Not only that, but they're probably making fun of you while you're passed out, based on the last story. We got a doctor in town here that has Crohn's disease. I think I'm going to go and make an appointment at the health unit. I'm going to get in this guy's office. I'm going to tell him point blank, "I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. I don't care what you know. Wallach knows more. Glidden knows more. And that means if I follow the right path, I know more. Maybe not more, but better information. Let's put it that way. I want to be that guy that people can come to and say, this is wrong, and I've got a simple solution." And you know what? This is all stuff that we should have learned in grade 4 health class. Don't eat gluten. How hard is that? Well, apparently for some people it's really difficult, but you've got to do it. James in Virginia, stay away from the 10 bad foods. I'm talking to you, brother. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what race you are. All I care about is that you're a human being and you want to get your health back, and then you want to help back your community and your country. It's all that matters to me. It's what we're doing here. I went and set it up so that we're having longevity meetings weekly at a local coffee shop. In the last 2 times that we met there hasn't been one empty seat in the house. People love this message. They really do. They want to hear about it. Everybody knows somebody that's got something going on in their health. Everybody. I don't care who you are. Everybody. So, that's the lady at the hardware store. Got a son with lupus. I'm going to set her up with the webinar on lupus by Dr. Glidden because it makes a lot of sense. And it's really easy. Living with lupus is difficult. Cutting out gluten is way easier. Don't you think? I would think so. So that's Fiona's Coffee Shop, Camrose, Alberta, 7 o'clock Thursdays. Tonight we're going to be meeting there. And you know what? Dr. Glidden he's at a conference in Anaheim. So I'm going to make it democratic, and I'm going to put it to a vote. Just go into my insider back room and show them all the webinars, and they can just pick one that they all want to see. Did I mention that? You can become a Team Glidden insider by going to fireyourmdnow.com. Scroll down. First of all, register with the website. Put in your email address and your name, and they'll automatically send you a link to a video against the grain. And that video is going to show you why we are so adamant about this gluten thing. It is a slow-acting poison. Like I said, I know an MD in town here that has Crohn's disease. And if he can't help himself, right? Physician, heal thyself. What's he going to do for you? Think about it. Think about it. So, normally on Thursdays, Dr. Glidden has what he calls Metaphysical Thursdays. And we believe in an ultimate life force that creates and regulates everything. I believe in God. I believe His name is Jesus. That's me. And Dr. Glidden's fond of saying, if you don't believe in God, we can't help you. We're going to get back to this feel-good story of the year on Metaphysical Thursday, and we're going to take your calls. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Glidden back after this. Welcome back to Fire Your MD Now Radio. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Thursday, April 24th, 2014. Before the break, I was talking about the metaphysical aspect of what we do. And that being said, I'd also like to say I'm not here because I'm a Sunday school teacher. I haven't been the best guy all my life, but you know what? Neither of you. Neither is anybody. But I try to show the mercy that I've received in my daily life. If somebody's weaker than me, I try to look out for them. If somebody's in need, I try to help them. And I've always had a really good attitude, and I've always thought that there was something more for my life, and I believe the same thing about you. I don't care who you are. Now, I was thinking about what I was going to talk about for the metaphysical aspect of this, and I ran across this story out of Atlanta, Associated Press. A 9-year-old Atlanta boy who police say was abducted for a short time from his driveway is being praised by community leaders for his calm as he sang the gospel song, Every Praise, until the man released him. I don't know about you, but I find great comfort in thinking that somebody more powerful, stronger, and smarter than me is watching over my kids and the people in my life that I love when I'm not around. I'm going to read this story. Willie Merrick recounted the story at a recent gathering in his honor. He says, as he sang, the man drove around and was cursing before eventually letting him go unharmed last month. WXIA-TV reports the Grammy Award-winning gospel singer Hezekiah Walker, who performed the song, traveled to Atlanta to meet the boy. Walker says he believes God spoke through him to save the boy's life. Police have a sketch of the suspect and are searching for him. More details on what the boy told police about what happened on March 31st weren't available. As a parent, you can't think of anything worse, right? I mean, it'd be one thing if they were hit by a car or something like that, but just having them disappear one day and never knowing or having any closure. Well, this boy, 9 years old, taken by a complete stranger, kept his presence of mind and sang a song that gave him peace in his heart. And as a result, he's back with his family. It says the guy drove around cursing. The individual that was planning to perpetrate a crime obviously was going through an intense inner struggle. And a force greater than anything spoke to him through the voice of a child. And he had to let him go. I gotta believe that God is watching over my family and the weak people. And I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe it's a coincidence that you're listening to this show today. There's going to be a certain number of people that make it through all of this. I mean, let's face it, if you listen to Alex Jones or if you read the news every day even, things don't look good for Canada and the United States. They really don't. People are sick. The economy is not real great, I gotta say. I mean, I live in Alberta. I'm blessed. You know, we have a higher disposable income, I guess, than most places in Canada. And from what I'm hearing in the news lately, statistics show that Canada has a better quality of life financially than the United States. But it's still not great. The price of fuel, food, things are off the charts. But you have to have hope, and you have to have something that gives you the calm inside to weather the storm. And I've had that mechanism over the years, and if you don't have it, I feel sorry for you. This little boy, 9 years old in Atlanta, abducted, didn't even know what he was facing, didn't care, because he had something bigger to hang on to. Welcome back. We're live on Fire Your MD Now Radio. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Before the break, I was talking about a truly inspirational story. And that way of thinking has really gotten me through some bad spots in my life. Never lose hope. Never get filled with fear over the situation around you. When you're facing insurmountable odds, don't be afraid. I was talking to William earlier about his friend, diagnosed with HIV. As far as most people know, that's a complete death sentence, because that's what they tell you, right? I believe that you can come back from anything, as long as you're willing to listen to the correct information. And it might come from the most unexpected source. But truth has a particular ring to it, and if you can accustom your ears to hearing it, it'll waken you up to a wider world. I'm the kind of guy that every day I get up and I check the headlines all over the internet from the medical world. I'm kind of consumed with this longevity thing and seeing what makes people tick. Just from what I've seen so far. You know, people have hobbies, right? They like to grow plants. They like to build things. I like to build people. I like to see people around me and identify what their problems are just by looking and talking to them, and I want to fix it. And I watch medical science. I read these headlines every day. And it's like ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. We got a $60 million study for Crohn's disease. We got a $50 Brazilian study for breast cancer. It's Movember. Everybody going to wear a mustache to raise awareness because awareness is the cure. And blah, blah, blah. But everybody's getting sicker all the time. And it would be comical if it wasn't so serious. And it seems like it's a certain kind of person that can even receive this information in the first place. You know, like the parable of the sower. A very small percentage of the seeds that the sower threw down actually produced. But then I think to myself, too, it hasn't always been the majority. For example, in the United States War of Independence, only 1% fought. Only 1%. A lot of the country was loyalists. And because that 1% fought as though they had nothing to lose because they believed they would have nothing without their freedom, a lot of people profited from it until this day. Don't let them take your freedom away from you. Don't let them take your hope away from you. Don't let them fill your heart with fear. Be the William Wallace of your age. Because when you look at it, you really have nothing to lose. You may think you have a few things now. If you're afraid to speak out because you might lose something, you already have nothing. I'm waxing philosophical here, but you can't help it. When you face this information every day, it changes how you think. When you see how unnecessarily people are suffering all around you. And then you see people completely rebuild their health and get back to what God meant for them to be. And it was so easy. For some it was easy. Others had a real hard slog ahead of them. And like I was saying to Lord in the UK, keep doing what you're doing. If you want to double up on your sweeties, go ahead. It's not going to hurt you, in my opinion. Take some extra plant-derived minerals. The only reason this doesn't work, and the science is solid, is if you're not getting enough or you're not absorbing it. That's it. It's simple. So, I'm a guy in central Alberta, inconsequential as far as things go, but I know how to reverse type 2 diabetes. CBS Pittsburgh, what's medical science got for us? Is sitting for long hours at work the new smoking? Sitting is the new smoking. Pink is the new black. I mean, they come out with these studies all the time, but it's like a dog chasing its tail or a hamster running in a wheel. Never gets anywhere. And everybody gets sicker around you. And their best defense is, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Well, I see clearly. Let's get a little bit into this story just for kicks. The average worker spends over 5 hours and 40 minutes sitting at their job every day, and a new study says it's bad for your health, with some claiming the long-term effects of sitting can be as bad as smoking. Well, Dr. Wallach proved that if you go out there and exercise to try and get the perfect body and be, Mr. Handsome or Miss America or whatever you want to be, and you don't nutritionalize, it's suicide. So in fact, if you're malnourished in the first place, you're going to burn through a lot less nutrition if you sit. It's a fact. Dr. Michael Jensen from the Mayo Clinic joined KDKA Radio's Larry Richard and John Shumway to talk about a study he and his colleagues conducted. To find out whether the test subjects in the study were sitting or not, Dr. Jensen says one of his colleagues, Dr. James Levine, invented underwear that can tell whether you're sitting, standing, lying down, essentially every half second of the day. So, we got... This is ridiculous. Back in the 70s, Dr. Wallach figured this out, but no, we got to figure out magic underwear to see if you're sitting and do a case study. I'm going to go on because this is kind of hilarious. With the data they gathered and studied, they came to the conclusion that people need to move around more. Dr. Jensen says they found that people who are overweight tend to spend a lot more time sitting than people who have not gained weight. Dr. Jensen says that a trip to the gym for 30 minutes or an hour may not be enough to combat all the time spent sitting. If you're not going to prevent risk for disease and weight gain, if that's all you do is go to the gym for 30 minutes or an hour and spend all the rest of your day sitting. According to Dr. Jensen, sitting is independently associated with greater risk of dying of heart disease, diabetes, even when you try to account for exercise. Look, here's the deal. Most of the women that I know that have arthritis and heart problems were in very good shape when they were younger because they exercised all the time. All right? What happens over time is that your vitals need essential minerals and start leaching them from your bones. Your heart needs a lot of calcium. Your kidneys need calcium. Your thyroid needs calcium. But it can't do it alone. They run in packs. Calcium needs magnesium. Magnesium needs vitamin D. They all need each other. Copper, selenium, they work off of each other. Dr. Wallach figured this out a long time ago. But we got to find somebody to make a pair of underwear with electrodes in it to find out whether or not you're sitting in order to do a brand new study. And this is what I'm talking about, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Is it pride? I don't know how you could be proud of being the number one killer profession in North America. It's that whole MD Emperor has no clothes thing. So we suffer for their pride. Well, I'm better than that. My family's better than that. My community's better than that. Canada's better than that. The United States is better than that. All of you. Nutrify your children. Like I said at the beginning of the show, don't get old. It's that simple. I'm almost 40 and I run around like I'm 21 years old. I got energy to burn. I sleep good. Everything else works. If and you know what I mean. Don't be stupid. Don't fall. You know, it's like you think back to the old reports of when they would like measure the distance between people's eyes to figure out their intelligence or their height or the thickness of their eyebrows. It was quackery. It was proved to be quackery. It was snake oil, but people believed it. So the medical system's been just chugging along, same as it always has. And they come up with drugs to deal with things that we can deal with easily through medical nutrition. There's a story in Global News. Nova Scotia families worried about arthritis drugs stop selling. Nova Scotian families and doctors are upset by news that a drug that helps keep juvenile arthritis in remission is no longer easily available. Aristopan is an injection that helps arthritis patients with their pain and inflammation. Well, you know what? We can do that with nutrients. An injection of the drug, which must be performed by a physician, is often a scheduled appointment for younger children who require sedation before receiving injection. Older patients can walk in for the treatment, though. Emily Bessie, 11, has juvenile arthritis. 11 years old with arthritis. Man, when I was a kid, we didn't know anybody, as far as I knew. Arthritis was something that I heard of people that were a lot older than me. 11 years old. She often received the Aristopan injections when she was younger. It definitely allowed her to be more active, playing with friends, riding her bike, and doing all those kid activities, her mother Jennifer said. After her injections, she was definitely more energetic and running and jumping. Prior to that, she was a little quiet, resting on the couch and less active. Well, she was in pain. Jennifer said her daughter does not get the injection on a routine basis now, saying it is often a case-by-case basis on how Emily feels. But news of the drug unavailability is worrisome. Okay, so if you're a longevity distributor in Nova Scotia, bada bing, bada bang. I just gave you a target. Juvenile arthritis. There's people there right now that are scared because they can't get the shots, that are never going to fix the problem. But that's who you need to go after. See, this is easy. It's a bit concerning, obviously, as a parent of a child who has arthritis. Yeah, well, I wonder what kind of shape you're in. These people need your help. They need to know this works. It's a bit concerning, obviously, as a parent of a child who has arthritis. It's hard to know in the future whether Emily will need more joint injections But if she does, it's definitely concerning that the medication may not be available for that. Well, by the time Emily's 35, she's probably going to have plastic or titanium hips, fake knees. Why don't we just download her onto the Matrix and be done with it? Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden, back after this. Welcome back to Fire Radio. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. We had a pretty interesting show today. Talked about a whole lot of stuff. If I got a little bit preachy, I apologize for nothing. Team Glidden Alberta Camrose meeting at Fiona's Coffee Shop tonight at 7 o'clock. Come on down and watch a webinar, have a coffee and a gluten-free snack. We'll try to answer any questions you have, ones that we can't. We won't BS you. We'll find out from somebody who knows better. But I got to say, this is getting easier all the time. We talked about a boy who got kidnapped and sang hymns. Go let go. Something else I want to address here, because everybody's talking about it, and that's vaccines. Now, I'm a little bit on the fence on this because Dr. Wallach really studied this out, and he says that, vaccines cause no damage. But that was a long time ago that he did that, and I'm not trying to second-guess his work, but kids are on more vaccines today than they've ever been on. So if he looked into that even 15 or 20 years ago, things are a little bit different today. I'd be looking forward to seeing a study on it because from my way of thinking, I think you can recover from anything. Net negative toxicity, right? But if you take an undernutrified body and start plastering it with vaccines full of all kinds of garbage, well, it's not going to be good. I'm going to go to a story posted on FromTheTrenchesWorldReport.com from Health Impact News Daily. Merck's former doctor predicts that Gardasil will become the greatest medical scandal of all time. Well, we already know what that is. But let's see what this guy has to say. Dr. Dahlberg, a former pharmaceutical industry physician with Gardasil manufacturer Merck, was interviewed in the April 2014 issue of the French magazine Principe de Santé, or Health Principles. You can read it over at the website. But here's some experts. The full extent of the Gardasil scandal needs to be assessed. Everyone knew when this vaccine was released on the American market that it would have proved to be worthless. Diane Harper, a major opinion leader in the United States, was one of the first to blow the whistle, pointing out the fraud and scam of it all. Gardasil is useless and costs a fortune. In addition, decision makers at all levels are aware of it. Didn't Rick Perry just mandate a couple of years ago that all the kids in Texas get that? They're talking about that in Alberta here. Yeah, we need to vaccinate 12-year-old boys for cervical cancer. I smell a rat. Cases of Guillain-Barré syndrome, paralysis of the lower limbs, vaccine-induced MS, and vaccine-induced encephalitis can be found, whatever the vaccine. Now, according to Dr. Wallach, that might have happened anyways because you're undernutrified. It's convenient to blame it on a vaccine, but we can't rule that out until there's a new study made in the same fashion that he did the original one. I predict that Gardasil will become the greatest medical scandal of all times because at some point in time the evidence will add up to prove that this vaccine, technical and scientific feat that it may be, has absolutely no effect on cervical cancer, and that all the very many adverse effects which destroy lives and even kill serve no other purpose than to generate profit for the manufacturers. Now I think we're getting down to it. It's about profit. I mean, if it has no redeemable value except that it makes somebody money, and you're willing to allow them to put that in your kids. My youngest son, Elias, came home from school a few years ago. He was just young. He's 19 now, but he was a little guy then. And they wanted to give him a vaccine. I wouldn't sign the forms. And they flipped out, but I stood my ground. I just don't believe it. It's been a great Thursday hanging out with you. Thanks for listening. Mike Phillips filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. I'll be back tomorrow. God bless America. God bless Canada. God bless you.